Weight Loss 360.
The first step for the Weight Loss 360 would be getting a history and physical.
What are we trying to figure out on the lifestyle assessment?
You're going to get medications, any past medical history, their lifestyles, what kind of foods they're eating, how they're exercising. The main key ones you're looking into would be a person's metabolic health. South Florida, we have one of the most fit populations in the U.S. I was at Greece. I ate 3 times a day. I lost weight.
Wow.
No high fructose corn syrup, no processed foods, no added sugars. You see the Jeff Bezos and Zuckerberg's trillionaires, they put in so much money into their health. They're fit machines, both of them.
Health is wealth, baby. Welcome to a Healthy Point of View podcast. I'm your host, Sam Tejada, and today's topic is going to be a fantastic topic. We're going to be talking about Weight Loss 360. And who do we have here today? We got him here for the second time. We have Dr. Kendrick Heywood, health and wellness expert. Dr. Heywood, how are you?
I'm doing great today, Sam. How are you?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. So, Dr. Heywood, a lot of people out there are getting their bodies ready for the summer. They want to get that beach body. So, tell me a little bit about like this Weight Loss 360. You know, you and I have been talking, going back and forth on it. And obviously, we get a lot of people that come in and they just want the magic pill. You know, people are like, oh, I want to get the Semaglutide injection. It's going to do the job. Or you get the people that are just saying, hey, I'm just going to eat healthy. Or you get the other people that start saying, I just want to work out and that's it. But truthfully, there's a lot more to that. And that's what Weight Loss 360 is all about. So what's the first step for Weight Loss 360?
I mean, the first step, I think, for the Weight Loss 360 would be getting a history and physical. And that's going to be the cornerstone of all your, weight loss consults. And really, you're trying to assess a person's like diet. Are they exercising? Or are they supplementing? And that's going to be like the 3 pillars of health, I call. That's going to be the cornerstone of all our patients' like health, making sure they have the right diet, exercise, and taking the right supplements. And then after that, I have an assessment at Liquivida, and one of our offices will look under the hood and we'll get labs.
Right. Okay, so first step here, they're doing that lifestyle assessment, which, that's part of that medical history and the whole history that we're doing. So that lifestyle assessment, what does that consist of? Does that consist of like how they typically eat on a day-to-day basis? Does it consist of like their sleep patterns? Like, what are we trying to figure out on the lifestyle assessment?
I mean, you get a lot from lifestyle assessment. You're going to get medications. Did they have any surgeries? Any past medical history, which would be very important, especially when we're looking at a person's overall health and wellness. And we get into their lifestyles, what kind of foods they're eating, how they're exercising, how often, how many times a week, what's the quantity of the workouts, like 2-3 hours a week, 5 hours. We try to get a very detailed history in our lifestyle assessments, including all their medications, past metabolic health issues, and et cetera.
See, and one thing that you just said is lifestyle, right? Lifestyle has a huge impact on how much weight you have, how much weight you gain or how you can control your weight. So if when we do that lifestyle assessment and we talk about lifestyle, we're also looking at like how often you go out to eat. Like, what are you eating when you go out to eat? Are you exercising? Are you drinking and smoking? All of those things have an impact on one's health in general. So lifestyle assessment. So we got lifestyle assessment. Then from there, we're looking at their different symptoms, right? How they're feeling. And then obviously, most clients that come in for Weight Loss 360, they have certain goals that they're trying to reach. So let's talk about that looking under the hood. It's a terminology that we use often in Liquivida, looking under the hood. Obviously, we're not mechanics. We're not working on a car, but we use that analogy as so, right? So what are the few steps when we're doing looking under the hood and looking at all the different patients' data?
Well, the main thing we look into, especially when we got like biomarkers, and we're looking at a patient's labs. And Liquivida, we run a very, abundant or plethora of lab testing. We run over 100 biomarkers. And the main key ones you're looking into would be a person's metabolic health. So that would be with the hemoglobin A1C, which checks a person's average blood glucose over 3 months, lipids, Also, their liver function test, their liver health. And we even take a couple steps forward with the C-reactive protein and also a person's kidney function. So we get a very, abundant good look at someone's, metabolic health. And we even look at the cardiac IQ, looking at genetic markers, because not everyone who eats well, contrary to popular belief, going to have good cholesterol.
Right.
So
right.
we take a good look to see like also what genes you have that could be a reason why you have high cholesterol, even if you eat vegan food all day. So we look into a person's, metabolic health to see if they have the diseases that they can contribute to, eating a lot of processed foods or having, visceral fat, which is that kind of toxic fat that kind of wraps around the organs. It comes around the spleen, the intestines, the liver, and that can be a key to many metabolic diseases. And we look at the person's other history too to see if they have any autoimmune disease, right? Rheumatoid arthritis, lupus, even other inflammatory problems. So we take a very good look to see if they have any cause for them to also gain weight, like having, hypothyroidism, or have a look at a person's testosterone to see if they got low T contributing to them to put on, a lot of visceral fat and put on weight very easily.
Right. So we're looking at all of these different biomarkers, right? And you're naming tons of them. And I hope everybody's following along and they got a little pencil and notepad and taking some notes here because it is quite a bit. And that's why it's called Weight Loss 360 because it's not just one thing that we're looking at. Because people that are struggling with their weight, sometimes it's not what people think it is, right? It could be a hormone imbalance, right? A thyroid issue while they're gaining all the weight. It could be how you said earlier. It could be a certain issue with their glucose, insulin, the hemoglobin A1C, right? Actually, just this weekend, I was with my business mentor, which Yadic Tadla, and I see him and he's just like shredded. I'm like, dude, what is he doing? And he started explaining to me he's actually been wearing a glucose monitor, right? So, and then it's connected to an app, and his personal trainer, which he's done content with us and whatnot, Chris. So his personal trainer has it on his app too. So now he's holding him accountable. And when like Yada goes out to eat, for dinner and whatnot, he's not allowed to have any of the crazy desserts because if not, the app starts going crazy. His personal trainer, even though the personal trainer's not there, he starts getting alerts, and then he's all on top of him. Like, hey, you can't be eating that. You need to stop that. And it's really worked, So what do you think about those glucose monitors?
I think it's amazing. And a lot that are the principles that we have at Liquivida. Because we're not just like any of these weight loss centers across the country where they just on the phone with you doing a Zoom. We actually, do a really good job of providing you that 360 weight loss experience. Because you're getting, instruction with the diet, exercise, and those are the core principles we preach for the patients. I would tell them like this: Semaglutide gets it off, your lifestyle keeps it off.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. That's hot.
Yeah.
So the other part is trending these results because I've actually heard like horror stories of people getting on some of these medications and they're losing weight, but they're not even losing fat. They're actually losing muscle weight. So part of that is the body composition analysis, right? So we have a few different technologies that you use with the patients. What are those technologies so people have a better understanding of when we say looking under the hood, it's not just the blood work and looking at the biomarkers. It's also looking at body composition analysis to see what your body's made up of, right?
And we have some, great technologies in our office. My favorite one would be the DEXA scan. That looks at, it uses 1 day's radiation to look at your body's composition. So it goes through your body, and it's probably one of the most accurate breakdowns you can get in this country of a good look into your body's composition from your muscle, fat composition to water composition. And think about this. We can take a good look at someone and say, hey, you have a pretty, fair level of height to fat ratio. So let's say we have someone like The Rock who comes in, let's say he's like 250 pounds. The BMI, that can throw him off and say he's overweight. But with our instruments, we could look at him and say, hey, you are like in the top 5% in the country because you have a great fat to height ratio, which is a better look at someone's, body composition. Because I think BMI throws everyone off.
Throws it off, right?
Yeah.
And that's the difference between true body composition analysis versus just getting on a regular scale that gives you total weight, right? Because you got your bones, you got your muscle, you got your adipose fat, you got visceral fat, you got extracellular water, intracellular water. Right. So if you don't have the actual data, that calculation, what weight are you losing? Are you losing 20 pounds of what? Are you losing 20 pounds of muscle? Are you losing 20 pounds of your bone?
Right.
Your bones are becoming fragile. Like, that's not good, right?
And, in South Florida, we have one of the most fit populations in the U.S. We have won several years in a row of having the most fit population. And it makes sense. We have a lot of Instagram models in South Florida, from Boca, right, to Miami. We know some of the people personally. And that's why a lot of people come to our office, because we look at these instruments. I tell people all the time, I ignore the BMI. For especially the men, I go straight to the body fat percentage. That's like my go-to test.
Right.
Right, to see how much. You got 5%, you're like a beast, 10%, 13%, or you're starting to get under 17%. So that's like a true look what I look into to see a person's like weight and see if they're in a good range or not. Or somebody in their 30s or 40%. So the BMI, I think, is an outdated test that, a lot of these people that sit on the scale is a very cheap and easy way to look at it, but I don't think it's the most effective.
Right. All right. So we have a few different steps so far. We got lifestyle assessment, lifestyle questionnaire that's looking at, how you feeling, looking at lifestyle. Then we're talking about looking under the hood, doing the comprehensive blood analysis, which, we're doing everything from hormones, looking at different inflammation markers, autoimmune issues, micronutrients deficiencies, which we're also looking at certain metabolites like B12, L-carnitine, all the methionine, inositol, choline, all of those, right? So then we're doing the body composition analysis with the in-body and also the DEXA scan. What's next? What's the next looking under the hood that we're going to go ahead and run? And listen, we haven't even, for the listeners, we haven't even got to the treatment, or we haven't even got to the nutrition. We haven't even got to the exercising. This is the first step to figure out what the heck is going on with your body. Why can't you lose weight? Why are you gaining weight? So we're not even to the part that everybody just rushes to. So what's next about looking under the hood?
Well, look at we do a pretty comprehensive analysis. So we get the labs and a DEXA. There's other tests I like that we run in our office, and we do VO2, and we look at the patient's cardio metabolic health. And one of my favorites be the PNOA. That one looks into a person's true metabolic rate. Because like a patient with a 1,300 metabolic rate versus someone with a 2,500 metabolic rate, that's another, good key there to see, okay, how come this person who's, doing all this activity not losing weight?
So, and for those people who don't know what the VO2 max is, right? So most people, once I explain it, they're like, oh yeah, I've seen that. And they typically see it like with an athlete where they're on a bike, a stationary bike. They have a mask over their face, right? That's connected to a system, a software, right? And sometimes they also even run a 12-lead EKG, depending what device they have. And then what it's doing, it's basically increasing the endurance, and it's putting them through strenuous exercise, and then seeing how their body's functioning as, they breathe, inhale, exhale. And that VO2 max, some of the things it's looking at, and correct me if I'm wrong, we're looking at endurance, right?
Yes, endurance.
Cardiovascular function, for cardiovascular health,
yes.
Right? And fat burning zone.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. So the VO2 max, really good to get a good bird's eye view of how those three things are going inside of your body. Now, there's another test that's combined with the PNOE. And which one is that? The resting metabolic rate, right? So what does that do in that test?
And that's a good look at a person's like metabolic rate at rest, meaning they're doing no activity. They're almost like in a comatose state. They're at home all day, being stationary, and that's going to get a good look at how much calories they're going to burn when, they're at rest.
Okay, that's cool. So what do I do with that information though?
Yeah, because think about the patient. Like, let's say if I got them doing strenuous exercise or, they're dieting, and let's say they're going down to 1,300, calories per day. If it's the metabolic rate is too low, they're not going to lose weight like that. And that's what you're starting to see all our patients get frustrated because I have patients that says, I diet and I exercise and I eat right, but they don't lose any weight. And then we put them through our program, they start losing weight.
So it really kind of sounds like you're talking about personalized medicine, right?
Correct.
This sounds like precision.
Yes.
Because if we're talking about figuring out how many calories someone's burning at a rested state, and now you're able to customize, their nutritional plan, or you're able to customize their exercise plan, like how many calories we want them to burn so they can achieve their goals if they're trying to put on lean mass or lose weight. I mean, we're diving deep into the individual's data.
That's right.
And listen, data is king. I always tell people,
It is.
in God we trust, everybody else produce data.
That's right.
I don't care who it is. The only person I trust is God. Everybody else produce data.
That's
So
right.
if we're getting that type of data alongside with all the other personal data, I mean, this is weight loss 360 right here.
That's right.
And we're only at like weight loss 180 so far.
Right.
We still got a lot more to cover.
Yeah, we don't even touch the whole topic of it yet.
Right.
And you think about that, if you intervene in somebody's diet, now you understand how much they can intake, and also understand how much they have to burn. Let's say they do so much cardiovascular activity or start doing HIIT exercises, right, high intensity. Now you have to get a good idea of how much I need to be in deficit to even lose, because it's so much trick to lose weight. And think about this: I have a lot of patients that that'll work out. They're very active 5 days a week, and they still have a lot of weight to lose. Because we still in this area, like in South Florida, we got so many gyms. Not like Indiana or Nebraska or other parts of the country that are very sedentary. We have a very fit population here, and people still need to lose weight.
Right.
So it's just not just one size fit all. And that's why I think we do a good job at Liquivida, because I get a lot of cases for people who failed, to lose weight with trainers.
Right. I was talking to one of my buddies who's a trainer, Danny Pham, and one thing that he mentioned, he says what he loves about working with somebody like Liquivida, a wellness center, is that we truly help bring the word personal back into personal training, right? Because really a personal trainer is working on that personalized approach with the client, right? And what ends up happening is people go the easy route, and it becomes a very like cookie cutter type of technique or method, and that's not really what works for people.
No.
So, all right, so we got all of the data. Now, what are we doing on the clinical side?
So, I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. And this is when you start to move the needle with your patients. So after we get like our imaging, DEXA scan, we get our labs, we get a consultation. Now we start going to the interventions to get our patients to lose weight. And a lot of people want to go into it one way, but at Liquivida, we do a full 360 model. So one of the cornerstones of our treatments is that we also give out peptides. And that'll be like growth hormone secretagogues like CJC1295.
No, hold. There's going to be people listening. They're like, peptides. This sounds very scientific. What's a peptide, Dr. Heywood?
So those are amino acid blends. And what they do in your body, they trigger certain responses.
Okay.
Like a CJC will stimulate in your body from your pituitary to secrete large amounts of HGH.
Okay.
And when the HGH goes to your pituitary, goes to your liver, and it releases some allotropins, it ends up turning into IGF-1. And what that do for you is it helps you get good lean muscle, recovery, and also helping you inhibit visceral fat production. Because when you look at growth hormone, when is it highest? In the morning.
Right.
You understand it helps you sleep. So like growth hormone, you see a lot of folks talking about the benefits of another diet that we recommend, intermittent fasting. Because when you have lower fasting blood glucose, your body stimulates IGF-1 production.
Right.
That increases glucose, but also helping you build lean muscle and getting good recovery. That's why you hear all the people talking about now intermittent fasting and its benefits.
They'll go 18 hours a day without eating.
Oh yeah, 18 hours. I have 6 hours of eating.
I've been even hearing people talk about doing like 72-hour water fast.
Yeah.
And even longer. 7-day water fast.
Yeah, I was doing 72-hour water fast. Sometimes I would do like even juice fasting for like a couple days, but makes a big difference like chicken now, especially that difficult visceral fat.
Helps reset the gut and everything,
That's
gut
right.
health, which that's a big component too, gut health, right? So, okay, so we're at the peptides. Let's talk a bit about the different peptides that are good for the weight loss 360 programs that we do. So what kind of peptides do we have that are good for weight loss?
So the first one we was recommending for like to maintain muscle or weight loss.
Weight loss.
So our weight loss, and we look into our peptides. We look into like the Semaglutide,
Okay.
or tirzepatide. We've been writing the medication probably at Liquivida for 4 years now, and we probably covered maybe over 10,000 patients. So we have a lot of information on it. But what we understand is that, it does suppress people's appetite. But, with the incretin effect, a lot of it is that it helps regulate, insulin, especially when you eat something orally, that your body's going to regulate insulin. And by spiking insulin, your body will be able to burn glucose, deplete glycogen, and go on to something called ketosis. That's when your body uses fat for fuel. And that's the key to weight loss. We all go through it.
So I want to touch up on that a bit because, I took the tirzepatide and I had amazing results.
Mm-hmm.
And, I talk to everybody about it. I tell them all the time about, how it worked. And, yes, it does suppress your appetite. And one of the first things that kind of come to people's mind is like, they think it's like one of these appetite suppressants, right? The amphetamines and stuff. And what I try to explain to them, it's not that. It's almost like it takes the cravings away.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started doing a little bit of research on it, because obviously I try to research anything that I take, you just mentioned earlier about the insulin secretion, how it actually slows it down. And what happens also when you get that insulin secretion is that it slows the digestive system down.
You're emptying.
Right. So slowing that digestive system is where you get that good feeling that you're full.
Yeah.
And that's why you have more of that appetite suppressant, which I like to say more is like you get rid of the craving. So if you like walking by one of these barbecue food trucks, if you love barbecue, and you smell it, you're not going to be like, oh, I got to go have some of that because it's just like you feel full, right?
It's amazing. You got the incretin effect. You're talking all about it. And you're talking about like how it really works because, I remember that phone call you called me about it the first time. It was like, I think it was fall 2020. You said, hey, you know about this? Brother, we giving this out to everybody now. They're like,
I was kind of mad because you knew about it. Yeah. And you never shared the secret sauce. He's like, Sam, I've been writing this for people already for like 6 months. I said, and I haven't got the secret sauce yet. Yeah. But that's what happens is we get so busy taking care of other people, we actually forget about ourselves.
You was busy. I didn't want to bother you about new weight
loss
drug.
Okay. Yeah.
And then he took it and like you lost about 30, almost 40 pounds.
Yeah.
We
it
both
was a
did.
lot.
We had a full transformation.
Yep.
And one thing about the tirzepatide, he was right. I felt like minimal side effects on it.
Right.
And you hear all these rumors about folks talking about, oh, how you feel? Because one thing I want to touch at it. I got patients that don't eat a lot. Eat like 1,000 calories a day without taking the tirzepatide, and they're still losing weight.
Right.
Because you got to understand how does this, medications, peptide affect your metabolism. That's the breakthrough. It's just like the HCG diet or the phentermine when you stop you from eating. It also affects your body metabolism because it regulates insulin, and you got the delayed gastric emptying.
Right.
So that's a really a good number on patients, even if they don't eat a lot, to lose weight.
Yeah.
We see that all the time.
So with a lot of these these medications, like these peptides, like the GLP-1s, like semaglutide, tirzepatide, and I think they're actually studying a new one that works on 3 receptors. We'll see what happens with that. There's a certain thing that people have to take in consideration that I had to take in consideration, which was making sure I'm eating the appropriate foods. Because if I eat anything that's like too high on carbs or sugar or too greasy, like I feel like crap.
Yeah.
Right. So why is that? Why do people feel that way when they eat nasty, right? The bad.
Yeah, I think it's part of that effect for the incretins too, because I notice that anytime I try to put in some too much sugar, my body just really rejects it. But I do think it's some of the effects of the gastric emptying has to
Right.
be when you try to eat fatty foods or you're taking in too much glucose.
Yeah, especially if it's just sitting there and your
Yeah,
digestive system is already slowing down, right?
correct.
That would make sense. So I had the opportunity. So my publicist got me interviewed by News Nation, and I really didn't know. It was like at 8 o'clock at night. She just calls me up. She says, "Hey, they need to interview a health and wellness expert on semaglutide and these different GLP-1s and whatnot on what they think about like the nutritional side of it." So as I start having this interview and talking to the host, she starts telling me like, "Hey, we're interviewing because Nestle just went ahead and opened up a whole division
Wow.
in Nestle to create prepackaged foods for people on semaglutide." Right? Ain't that crazy? So it's so many people are actually getting on this medication and understand that there's an important component of the nutritional side of it that now you got these big mega companies getting involved and try to create prepackaged foods. Now the scary part about that is what the heck is these companies like Nestle, what are they going to start preparing in these prepackaged foods? Because if they start putting all the crazy chemicals and everything, now we got all these different toxins going into the person. So
Yeah, that's a problem too. And like I saw a thing with Weight Watchers. They put a whole blog about like how we're past the diet phase of weight loss right now. Because, I've seen all kind of diets work. Pescatarian, vegetarian, carnivore, keto, paleo. I've seen thousands of times these diet work. But they're saying now we're no longer in the diet phase. We're more into the Ozempic or, the GLP-1 agonist phase right now for weight loss. But I would say one thing, what I've noticed that's a game changer for most patients is avoiding processed foods. And that's one thing I'm seeing that makes the big difference in my patients' lives. The more they avoid the fast food and processed foods, that's the biggest issue. Because, I was in Greece. I ate 3 times a day in Santorini. I lost weight.
wow.
And I
Why do
wasn't
you think that's the case?
Well, no high fructose corn syrup, no processed foods. I mean, it made a complete difference. No added sugars, right? Even the Coca-Cola we get, in the U.S. versus Mexico, has a totally different ingredients base that in Europe would be centrally illegal. Even the McDonald's, the fast foods, a lot of the things that they put into these foods in America, we can eat, but overseas, it is banned.
Isn't that scary?
Very.
When you think about it,
Very.
we're literally their government does not allow them to put certain chemicals
Yeah.
in the foods in these other countries because they're bad for people.
Yeah.
But here in the U.S., we're putting everything in it, just a mass production of food.
Yeah, they made an invention, and the food that they invented, it's super. It can handle, bugs. It grows super fast, but it's not the best for us conventionally.
Right.
I told people like, I don't even call it organic vegetables, because that's a waste. Because what did the Mayans call it, or the Egyptians? Did they call it organic? Exactly. Think about that.
It's supposed to be called just a vegetable.
There you go. Traditional agriculture. That's it. I don't call it organic. If the Egyptians didn't call it, or the Mayans,
Right.
what they have?
Yeah. I mean, the other day I saw
go.
something on the news, even like these ice cream sandwiches. These the guy took the ice cream sandwich out of the freezer and left it on the counter for 12 hours, and the damn thing ain't even melt.
Wow. You know why those other days?
Crazy.
Because we all grew up in most of us grew up in the 80s. I remember when I was a kid, like bread, like you had about 2-3 good days of eating that bread. It was actually soft. On the 6th, 7th day, you wouldn't touch it between all the mold and stuff. So I had some bread in my fridge. I took it out. 7 days, no mold.
Wow.
Like this stuff's indestructible. Or bananas. Remember bananas? Used to get like really like ripe in a couple of days. No way. Like I know this one thing.
Who knows what they're putting in that thing?
We don't shop like we used to. We used to be in the store like every 2-3 days.
Right.
Because all the fruits start rotting in your house.
That's crazy.
Now it's like you think about it, like your bread don't go stale that fast. I mean, a day or two still good. Where they have that? Or like even the vegetables, bananas. not eat bananas in a week.
Wow.
You have about 2-3 days on yellow bananas, right? They better be green coming in to be out like 7 days.
Yeah. I remember that's how my mom used to do it. Yeah.
I remember so I'm looking like, dude, our food does not get rotten very fast.
No.
But that's the invention of what you're seeing because it's not organic.
And you start thinking about it, it's like back in the day, what started really helping starvation is like sanitation and refrigeration.
That's right.
Right. So if we have refrigeration, right, and even like you got things that don't have to be refrigerated and they're lasting that long without being refrigerated, that's something that you need to question for sure.
Yeah.
You know?
Or like for thousands of years, you see in all these tablets, we used to fast or we ration food because it was actually hard to grow like good vegetation for thousands of years because we had crop rotation, nitrates to the soil. We didn't know how to properly handle agriculture for a long time.
Right.
So we were rationing our food. So we didn't eat plentiful. At the time we live in now, we eating wrong. We eating because of this.
Yeah.
The time.
Right? We're rushed.
8, 12.
Whatever's quick. Let me grab a bag of chips.
There
Let me
you
grab
go.
this. Nah, I can't do that.
Why can't
That's
we
horrible.
eat based on like intermittent fasting where you really want to eat?
So this is the cool part because we're talking about food. So, you know, obviously we both know Jack Vitale, you know, who does functional fitness alongside with how DFit does functional fitness. And, you know, Jack Vitale, she has an app, which what we're working on is the nutritional component that helps with accountability. And we haven't launched this yet, but this is something we're going to launch where the app has basically for someone who's on like semaglutide, any of the weight loss drugs, instead of them having to go get these prepackaged foods of whatever's coming out there, it has like all of the different things that they can eat. You know, that's not going to give them that horrible feeling, like the greasy foods and everything. So for me, nutrition is a very critical part of getting on this weight loss 360 program. And, you know, for us is we're going to have that app with the Jack Vitale and it's going to have and DFit, which we're going to hit up the exercise, right? The whole functional fitness side with DFit is the other part that we got to talk about because Liquivida, yes, we do all the clinical stuff. We're going to give you data, but we're not over here working you out. That's not what we do. But we got strong relationships.
That's right.
Again, how we said with like
Jack Vitale, DFit.
Jack Vitale, DFit.
Shout out to them both.
So with DFit, he's a big part of our weight loss 360. Right. So let's talk a little bit about how we work with you doing the functional fitness and how important that physical activity is for people on that weight loss 360.
Well, it's everything. Because a lot of time I think that we get so many referrals to Liquivida is that we just don't give you that one size fit all type medicine. Like you can go to like Facebook, Instagram, and you can call a guy or a physician or MP or PA. You can get like a Semaglutide or you can get Peptide. Where I think we do a good job is that we get you a whole 360 model. So we do incorporate exercising. So with Jack Vitale and with DFit, we get you, you know, personalized personal training programs. Because you hear all these stories of people about, oh, you're losing so much muscle, which is another myth that we got to combat here, is that all of our patients maintain a good amount of muscle because they're active. They're not at home all day taking semaglutide or tirzepatide and just shrinking by not just eating. Right. So we do a good job by incorporating, you know, exercise with Jack Vitale and DFit in these programs. I also do my consults with a doctor in biochemistry.
Okay.
Because Liquivida has, like, I'm telling you, one of the most cutting edge programs. Not just the, you know, personal training with DFit and Jack Vitale, but you got to consult with a doctor and you get a consult with a biochemist who's kind of going over your biochemical pathways as well and trying to give you the best plan to also just lose weight, lose fat, but also maintain good muscle. Right. So we give all these peptides. So we try to give you a whole 360 model, getting your micronutrients, exercising, and just giving you a really good wellness consult.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So, Dr. Heywood, that there is what's going to get everybody ready for that beach body, for the summer bod, right? That weight loss 360. So, just to kind of recap, we're talking about coming in, lifestyle assessment, you know, looking at how people are living, adjusting some of those lifestyle habits. We're looking under the hood, comprehensive blood work, body composition analysis,
That's right.
looking at the resting metabolic rate, VO2 max, looking at cardiovascular function throughout that activity, endurance, fat burning zone, right? Then we're looking at peptides, different supplementation, right? The different nutrients, which we got Excite My, that got the different fit gummies. That's all part of the 360, right? Which we just did a podcast earlier on Excite My. So, those nutrients are extremely important. And how do you know what nutrients you need? We already know, right? Based off of the data, because we're doing the blood work. We're looking at the micronutrients deficiencies. And then that's where we start putting everything together with all of the different peptides, medications, nutrition, having the app, and then also the fitness component where you're training with the D-Fit, the Jack Vitale, and then making it happen.
And we got also Liquivida. We also work with like fit pros, B&B pros that, have a personal training background too. And they're your personal concierge you speak to on the phone.
Right.
Right. So you got to also think about this. What other clinic going to give you these resources?
Exactly.
And that's why I think what Liquivida has that strength is we're not just giving you, hey, come get Semaglutide with us. No, we're giving you all these resources and knowledge for you to get the best outcome possible. And that's why I think all of our patients that do lose the weight, we're not getting 100% of our patients gain all their weight back.
Right.
I wish we would because we'd be double as busy. No. Right? No,
but we're here to help people
that's
out,
right.
help them maintain
Majority
that weight
of our
off.
patients keep the weight off because we do a good job. And that's how I look at success. For me is I don't want them to keep coming back to me. I want them to get the weight off and keep the weight off.
I love that. And Dr. Heywood, one thing I always tell people is they got to understand the most valuable currency in their entire life, that this is a currency that they're never going to want to go ahead and trade it for anything else. You're not going to trade this currency on the stock market, right? And that currency is your health.
Yeah.
And truthfully, once you got your health is wealth, baby.
Yeah.
Right?
And think about what's going on in the world right now. Who's also taking care of their health? You see the Jeff Bezos and Zuckerbergs, they have the money, trillionaires almost, right? 200 billion these guys are worth. They got the family. But what are they doing right now at this time? They putting so much money into their health. Look at them both.
Yeah.
They are fit machines, both of them.
And they're putting money into other companies that are researching it because they want to know the next big thing.
That's right.
Right.
Because think about these guys, and these are high-performing men. Only one thing can really sideline these guys or stop them right now in their career. If they get heart attack, stroke, or some kind of serious medical illness.
Exactly.
So think about this. You get the richest men in the world pouring in so much money into your health. So you got to kind of put these things in perspective.
Yep. Follow
what's
them.
Important.
Watch them closely.
Yeah.
Those are the
Ain't
guys
just
that
the
watch.
money. That's right. Health is wealth.
Health is wealth. Dr. Heywood, like always, it's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. We're just feeding tons of educational information, making people well. So, obviously you're going to be back on the podcast again. So people got to stay tuned.
Yeah,
so,
they need 2.0. I feel like we got a little more to talk about. But
you already know, man. Listen, this podcast is going forever. So we got tons of different topics. People are ready for it. They're hungry for it. They're asking for more. So I appreciate it, Dr. Heywood, for coming on the podcast. And for all of you guys that are watching, thank you for tuning into a Healthy Point of View podcast. Make sure you subscribe, follow, like, share. Tune into the next one.